Hey you guys, so today's video is going to be about pretty privilege. I have been seeing videos about pretty privilege on YouTube, like in the suggested page, for maybe 8 months, a little longer. And I thought about making a video about this a really long time ago. It's just that I kind of already have. So I almost feel like this video could very well be a compliment to that first video because I have some potentially unpopular opinions about pretty privilege. And it's almost more than an unpopular opinion. It's almost like a completely different mindset that I think some people might have about this. And maybe this mindset could be helpful. Really, that's what this is about. This has been a helpful mindset shift for me, and I wanted to share it with you today. While I have seen other pretty privileged videos floating around, I have not watched many. I watched 2 or 3, and it seemed like those videos were really kind of about the individual person in question. They were talking about their experience with pretty privilege and maybe some anecdotes, some research, things of that nature. I've already kind of done a video that's based a lot more in facts and figures and articles and notations and all that stuff. And I posted it maybe around this time last year, and it really bummed me out. It was a video that really upset me to make, which I'll talk about later. But I thought I deleted that video off of my channel, but I actually think I privated it. If I in fact did private it, I will unprivate it. So all that's to say, if you came to this video because you're looking for the kind of content that's going to talk a little bit more about the realistic kind of sad state of affairs about pretty privilege and beauty culture and beauty standards, that is what that video is for. This is going to be a different video than that. So just know that coming into this. Before we get started, make sure you check the down bar, links on my social media platforms. Thumbs up the video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new here. You know you want to. If you're not new here, hey, what's up? How's your mom and them? Come hang out on Patreon for bonus content and the book club. And I think particularly with this video, I'm going to have a companion video talking about pretty privilege and maybe some more very specific experiences I have had with it. Speaking of experiences with pretty privilege, I really quickly wanted to talk about mine. My experience with pretty privilege would point to the fact that this definitely exists. I think we all know that it does. Making money for me has always somehow depended on either how I look or beauty in general. So when I was young, I was a bartender or a server. I was a bartender for the longest period of time. And for me at that point, I needed that there was no other job I could get with those type of hours. Like, it was very crucial that I could make this kind of money the way I needed to make it because of the way my life was at the time. And being able to just get this job, I had no experience. I mean, I knew someone who knew someone. But other than that, I know they hired me because I was a pretty girl. And every job I got after that, I don't think my looks hindered my ability to get jobs. Now, I happen to be good at what I do. Anything I do, I am good at, which we'll get into later. I definitely have seen the benefits of it. I have had men pay for me my whole life. Not in that I've never lived off men, like except for my current husband and my first serious relationship, and I did not live off of him. I was definitely working the whole time. Other than that, I have been self-sufficient since I was 16. Outside of like living stuff, I have had men pay for me. I've always had men, because I didn't even know this was an issue, honestly. I didn't even know girls went on dates with guys and like they didn't pay. I have paid for guys that were my friends. There was one guy in my life I dated. When we were dating, he was in college and on a baseball scholarship. Like, he was really busy. He really couldn't work. I happened to be working, so when we went out, I would pick up the tab. But that's it. You know, I don't have a lot of experience of paying for men. And I don't have any experience with men not paying for me, and I didn't know that was a thing. I have recently found out through kind of learning a little bit about this stuff that, or maybe this is a generational thing, like guys nowadays don't pay for girls, whatever. I've never had that issue. Men have given me gifts. Men have bought me a lot. Men have done a lot of things. I've always been able to get men to do things for me. So I know this exists, okay? Personally, I know it exists. So I probably make an interesting case for this conversation for a couple of reasons. One of them is that I am the type of person who has benefited from pretty privilege But I only think that's because I wanted to, and I wanted to from a young age. I think that objectively speaking, I have, or I think so, maybe that's all that really matters here, which we'll also get into in a little bit. I think I have some pretty good stuff to work with, and I've always wanted to know how to work with it. When I was a little kid, I was obsessed with makeup and clothes and hair and fashion. So it's almost like a hobby or a way that I live my life to like try to prune and preen myself. And I have benefited from it. So all it's done is reinforce to me that I should keep doing this. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit because I know when I say things like, oh, I've benefited from it, but it's been a lot of work, da 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 da, one immediately might want to say something along the lines of the fact that that is the problem, that this is a lot of work, and it shouldn't have to be, and it shouldn't have to be necessary. Again, for all those type of arguments, please go see the other video I'm talking about. I just am trying to, again, give you a frame of mind that can serve you here. But yeah, I've benefited from it forever. And again, I've worked in the beauty industry, so I have seen full firsthand people benefit from it as well. There's no question that it's real. People just have to decide if they want to participate in this and be very real about why they want to, what they hope they're going to get out of it. And on top of that, if I'm going to be honest, I think everyone should try to participate in it a little bit if you can. I feel the way I feel about this, and maybe I'm selling myself short, and I am just like the smartest, funniest, most creative talent. Like I don't even know. This is just what I think happened, okay? So my socioeconomic status when I was young, like what I was born into, was pretty low. We weren't in poverty, but I've told you guys this before. We didn't have a dollar more than we needed to do all the basic bare minimum stuff. I felt like I didn't want to stay in that socioeconomic status. I knew I wanted to move out of it. I didn't know how I was going to, because it's not like, we had no money for college. We're not connected people. I wasn't in sports. Like there was no scholarships coming through that way. So I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I figured I figured out at one point, again, that being pretty, and this might just also be being young and pretty, which is when I was able to like capitalize on this the most. I used that one way or the other, for better or for worse, to get out of that situation that I was in. And again, it should have realistically either at least stayed where I was socioeconomic status wise or gone backwards, but I moved up. And I'm attributing a lot of that to pretty privilege. Again, I'm not saying it's because I'm Kendall Jenner beautiful, which again, we'll get into in a second. There's a lot of other good things about me, but I know, okay? I know like I know. I think a lot of people have really unrealistic expectations about this stuff. You cannot look at like a Kylie Jenner and see the levels that they are able to benefit off of pretty privilege and assume that if you are unable to reap similar rewards for your pretty privilege or whatever, that there is nothing to be gained from having it, or at least working with it when you can. I think there are tons of girls that don't look like a Kylie Jenner that are out here winning. So if that is your mindset, that your mindset is that I will never be as beautiful as like these girls, a lot of girls are benefiting off of it. It's really going to depend on where you are. I think people should focus a lot more on their real life applications to stuff like this, because pretty privilege, I think, is a choice no matter which way you slice it. I mean, there are people who are just born drop dead gorgeous. It's not as many as you think. I promise you, it's not as many as you think. Most people have to put effort into this. I want to point to that video over and over again because I'm trying not to repeat myself. Just know that I understand how damaging and how abusive the beauty industry and beauty standards are. I know, okay? But they're here. They exist. And I went through a period of time where I really had to like wrestle with the integrity of that. Like I went through a journey. I will talk about that journey in a separate video. In fact, the video I'll put on Patreon, I will get really specific about what I mean about this. But trust me, when I say I went on a vision quest, if you will, like I know where I'm coming from here. But what I walked away from, all that work I had to do, what I learned and took away from it was, okay, this exists. It is what it is. I'm going to try and benefit off of it any way that I can, just like I would any other tool I had, because looks, your beauty, whatever, it's a tool, and that is it. That is all it is. So as far as like people who think it's pointless, again, I think some people think if they cannot win the way some women can win with it, there's no winning at all. It's kind of like, I heard this girl who does beauty pageants talk about this, and she said, and she's right about this, it changed the way I look at the world a little bit. She said, if all you're going to take away from this is whether or not you win, you're really going to miss out on a lot that you can gain from this experience. And I think that's just true about life. If you are only going to fixate on the most extreme like version of reward for your efforts, then you might be missing out on so many other things, because I think that in life, the path that we follow and where we end up, you know, obviously there are big things that change the trajectory of our lives. Obviously divorce, death, moving. I know there's things that are out of your hands, okay? But there are a lot of things that you have a lot of control over, and it's like the combined effort of all of those things together are what gets you where you're going. And I think pretty privilege is one of those things. Again, I know there's going to be people in the comment section who say that, well, I cannot benefit from it because I just objectively am hideous. I know people are going to try to push back on this, and that's okay. I am not saying that if you want no part of this system, you need to participate in it. I will defer to the other video. I completely get how it feels, kind of like, what is that Greek myth, the guy who's going to push the boulder up the mountain? I totally get it. But if this is something that you want to just experiment with, try it and see what you, and again, you really aren't going to have to really benefit from this. You can't look at it through the lens of this or nothing. You know what I'm saying? You can't tie too much of your identity to it. That's what I was saying. People will think that if they can't win like a Kardashian Jenner, who you're not competing with. You are not competing with a Kardashian or a Jenner for resources. So you really don't need to worry about how easy life is for her because of how beautiful she is. You need to worry about what's going on around you and what you got and what you can work with to get more shit for yourself. I used to feel a lot of guilt about, and almost shame for my personality in general, which I have a video coming out talking about femininity, which a lot of people keep saying that I'm doing femininity content now. I have a lot to say about that. So I will get more into that in that video, which I'm filming right after this one. But my personality and who I am is just naturally drawn to girly shit. It just is. It always has been. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I don't know why everyone else gets to be the way that they are and it's okay. But like, for some people, it's really this whole, like my whole thing can seem really vapid and pointless and stupid to people. But I'm here to tell you that in some cases, I have laughed all the way to the bank about this. And again, it's going to depend on how much you want to participate in it, but a few examples of ways you can actually participate in it. I think pretty privilege is it's like almost the way you allow people to experience you as a person. And the more people enjoy experiencing you in any way, that to me is basically what we're talking about. It's just choices and moving through the world. You do not have to be born Adriana Lima to benefit from this stuff. There are so many ways. The real privilege of being pretty is the relationship being pretty allows you to have with yourself, especially again if it's a choice you have to make. If it is something you have to put work in for and have to like really allow to be a part of your life, which I think on some level everyone should do. I think pretty does not. We allow corporations and tons of strangers in buildings to tell us what pretty is. And again, if we think that if it falls short of that it's not pretty, that is something we have to deal with. We can't blame it's working for them. They're making money off of it. We keep buying into it. We don't have to, it's not participate in it or else. It's participate in it if you want to, don't if you don't want to, but you also don't have to participate in it the way that people who want you to feel shame want you to participate in it. In my opinion, this should just be fun. I think it's fun, and I think it's something that can be very useful, again, if you can see the benefit of using your looks as a tool. But I also think that's a byproduct of this mindset shift that I've had about it, because I did realize that I'm just not going to take it. I'm not going to live my life by it. I'm not going to, go in debt over it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm not going to tie up everything I am in it, but it's a tool. And there are some people, everyone is born with a tool. Like if you play like World of Warcraft or whatever, what am I trying to say? War of Worldcraft, Dungeons and Dragons, any of those like role-playing games, right? Basically, you get your little character, and everyone's character has its own set of strengths and weaknesses. Some of them might seem objectively cooler, like being able to like throw ninja stars or whatever. But if your skill set is that you can grow a lot of food, like that's helpful too. You just have to figure out what your skill set is. And if this happens to be one of your skill sets, I think you should use it if you can. Other people's skill sets might be like being incredibly talented at music, or being super, super smart, or very well connected and resourceful, or really good at making money, which is its own skill set. Like, there's a million ways to move through this world and get your needs met. And again, I think it's the combined efforts of everything that you do. But if you can use this, you might as well work what your mama gave you. I know that it can seem unfair and like a big disadvantage that for women, beauty and money sit so close to each other that they are almost indistinguishable from one another. And I think that if you, again, try to rely on that too hard, it can be harmful. But that doesn't mean that it's shameful or bad of you to capitalize on it if you can. In anything you do in life, you need to make smart decisions around it. I know there is a whole nother side to this where some girls think that if they get a BBL and spend a certain amount of money on their body, it guarantees a life of this, that, and the third. And that might work out for some girls, but that's because those girls got a lot more going on than just a BBL. I promise you. Like, it can be a tool, but it better be far from the only card you're trying to play, because it's a lot of work to keep it up to snuff, if you know what I'm saying. Beauty, pretty privilege, trying to get more of it or whatever, the effort that goes into that. I don't think that the effort and the consequences should ever be outweighing the benefits of it. It should be literally kind of like investing. You put a little bit in, and a little more comes out every time. And you're the only one who can decide if that's what's happening with all of this. And I get where people are coming from when they say this, and they do make a good point, and for some people that could be true. It's not true for me though. But I have heard it said that this desire to even want to be pretty for yourself is an example of internalized misogyny? No, internalized male gaze. That's what it was. Valid. Could be very valid. I'm not here to say it's objectively wrong. I just know that for me personally, the times in my life that I have abandoned this side of myself or have felt shame about this, which again, go watch the Patreon video if you want to know what I mean. I did not feel good in my skin. I wasn't happy like that. And sometimes, especially when like your personality traits or things that you like are kind of seen as useless and silly and dumb to some people, sometimes you can think the noble thing is to abandon them so you can be more serious or whatever, or prove people wrong. And it's never the case, honestly. You just need to be yourself. If this happens to be someone that you are, great. If this happens not to be someone that you are, great also. I'm team, everyone just needs to do whatever makes them happy. And if beauty standards and pretty privilege stuff is really like harshing your mellow, check out, just unsubscribe and do some work on yourself to figure out how to move in this world so that it's just not something you have to really deal with anymore. I don't know if I think the solution is dwelling on this. I did the dwelling part. That's what that video I'm telling you guys is about. I had to really sit and think about like, how am I comfortable talking about this stuff, promoting this when it's so harmful, and it portrays women in this way, and it's so historically transphobic and fatphobic and racist, and it's based in Western beauty ideals, and it's harmful to the environment. And I know, that's what I'm saying, I get the other side of this coin. I really do. But once I really faced it and saw how ugly all of that was, I had to just make a choice. This is really something that's been a part of me for a while. So to just write it off completely, it didn't feel right. And also, I'll never do this blindly. I'm a lot more intentional about it. I think I have a much healthier relationship with it. And I think that's the privilege. That's where the privilege comes in. When you can express yourself, pamper yourself, enjoy that part of your life, and it not be tied to anything other than joy and pleasure. That's the pretty privilege. Mic drop. I had to get to a point eventually, I guess. As always, thank you to the patrons. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I can't wait to film the adjoining video to this to go on Patreon. Patreon is about to go under a weird kind of experiment. My goal is to take this type of content that I'm putting on YouTube. I want to put more like broad strokes content about some of this stuff on YouTube, but make Patreon this like immersive experience where I get down to the nitty gritty for people who actually want to talk about this stuff. Because I think if you really do want to talk about this stuff and you're very interested in this conversation, girl, I got you. I got some stuff to say. So anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.